This show is not intended for the politically correct or the close-minded. Enter at the risk of opening your eyes. You have been warned.
Why does the media attack an issue? To get primetime ratings?
In my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
A moment comes when we step out from the old to the new, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance.
To kind of catapult the propaganda.
You are listening to Open Eyes with your host, Ira Robinson. From the normal to the paranormal, from government cover-ups to the depths of our consciousness, we aim to explore all things. From the dawn of prehistory to current events, no topic is forbidden and nothing remains hidden.
No more secrets.
Open your eyes and open your mind to the fact that life as we know it is not as we have been taught. Join us at latenightinthe-midlands.com or openeyesnetwork.com as we take this brief journey through the depths of the cosmos and explore what it really means to be human.
Many peoples have sacrificed their liberties, only to learn to their sorrow that deceit and mockery, poverty and tyranny are their reward.
Whether you're online or offline, intercontinental or intergalactic, hello and welcome to Open Eyes. It is a Friday. We are live and in person with you. And if you want to call in tonight, you can do so. The number tonight is 260-494-3937. Our Skype line is JDA Film. And as always, you can reach us in the chat room at lnmradionetwork.com. Make sure you guys head on over there. It's going to be a great conversation tonight. We have our guest coming on here in just a moment. Dr. Scott McQuate is coming on with us. And for those of you guys that are fans of Late Night in the Midlands, you know that he's been on with Michael Vera a few times. And I've always enjoyed listening to the conversation that the two of them have had. And I was really looking forward to having him on tonight as my guest and sort of pick his brain myself. So I'll bring him on here in just a moment. For those of you guys that are interested, I do have my new book that's coming out, Penitence. It's going to be released, we're hoping, on Halloween this year. So we are looking forward to having that occur. It's going to be a very interesting process. It's a psychological horror book that I've worked really hard on making, and hopefully you guys will end up enjoying it too. My beta readers so far have not gotten back to me a whole lot on how they like it, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and go with the process anyways, because the publishers say that it is great, and they are looking forward to having it happen. We're also working on the process of getting a couple of more books ready. I do have Voices Carry, the sequel to Silent Steps. That one is going to be coming out maybe by the beginning of the year. We're still working on the timing with that one. And we're putting together a little bit of a coffee table book as well with some of the artwork that I've done, the poetry that I've written regarding that same artwork, the little short stories that I've written about it, and that kind of thing. And they expressed an interest in publishing that as well. So we're going to put that together, and hopefully we'll have that ready to go by the end of the year as well. So I figured I'd catch you guys up on what's been going on as far as the writing stuff goes. I'm also right now in the process of outlining my brand new book, which I'm going to start the writing process of this week. So lots of things happening in the writing realm over here in Ira's household. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get to our guest, Dr. Scott McQuate. He's a very fascinating guy. We're going to have I think a plethora of topics to talk about. He's a very intelligent man, a lot of really great things that he discusses, but we'll go ahead and bring him in. Scott, are you still there with us?
Yes, Ira, I'm here.
All right. Hi there. It's so good to have you on the show tonight. I'm so grateful for you to come on tonight.
Well, thank you. My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
I didn't give too much of a bio about you because I always believe, the person that's speaking knows themselves the best. So why don't you go ahead and get us started a little bit for those that aren't familiar with you, as to your background a little bit. How did you get into the stuff that you talk about?
Sure, happy to do that. Well, I've always been a curious individual, and I grew up in the Christian church, and that was my whole life. I went from kindergarten through 12th grade in Christian schools, and tonight's talk is not going to be a religious talk, though, just for those who don't align themselves with Christianity or religion. So just to say that at the outset. But I went through Christian schools, Christian colleges, two Christian seminaries, to get my bachelor's, master's, and PhD, all through there. And I would always ask questions, sincere, legitimate questions, many times to world-renowned scholars who were my university and seminary professors, like when I went to Asbury University or Ashland Theological Seminary and other places, and they couldn't answer the questions. And not difficult questions, but things that had never been answered for me when I was growing up in the church. And so this bothered me because from what I understood from my years within the church, we should ask and receive. And as Christ said, you will ask, seek, and knock. We're supposed to do that. And he said, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Well, I thought, well, if I'm supposed to know the truth, and that is the key to my freedom, then why are the leaders upon who I rely for my learning not able to answer those things? So I began to embark on a journey, a very serious journey, a couple decades ago at least, to uncover the answers, to find the answers, because I believe that all of the answers are available to us if we diligently seek them. And so that's what I did. And I've written, since that time I've written about 14 or 15 books, and I've lectured and I've been on dozens of radio shows and whatnot, and I'm very blessed to be able to do those things. But one of the primary things that I learned on my journey is the key to understanding anything of relevance in our world is always in the Word. Now, when I say in the Word, and somebody from a religious background hears me say that, they'll say, yes, he means the Bible. And I have to tell you, no, you're not correct. When I say the word word, it doesn't mean the Bible. However, the Bible is an extraordinary repository of secret knowledge. And many times Christians hear me say that, and they'll say, well, no, the Bible's not secret. It's there for anybody to read. Well, the problem is Christians have read from the same book for over 2,000 years, and they all believe different things. So the methodology they use to ascertain the truth, to glean the truth from the pages of the Bible is flawed. And we'll get into that tonight. I'll talk about why that is the case. But one of the keys that I've discovered, and I say this in all humility, there's nobody else who does what I do in the way that I do it. And that's just, it doesn't mean I'm anybody special. It just means that I've found a key. I found a secret key that is the answer to finding these things. And this key has to do with the oldest written language known to man, and that is the Sumerian Cuneiform. What Bible scholars and theologians and people from other religions, Hinduism and Islam and Judaism, don't understand about their respective religions and about their respective religious texts is that the words with which those texts, including the Bible also, were written, were taken from the cuneiform. Now, let's take the Bible as an example. The Bible is written in various languages, such as Greek, Aramaic, Hebrew, some Arabic, some Chaldean, Akkadian, different languages throughout, primarily Hebrew and Greek and some Aramaic. But these words within those respective languages are what scholars look to for answers. This is called exegesis. And when they are trying to find out the meaning of a word or a passage or a Bible verse or a verse in the Quran or different books, the Torah or the Tanakh of Judaism, which is in the Bible, they use hermeneutics to do this. Hermeneutics is the science of interpretation and the methodology of interpretation, I should say. And these are the principles they use. And so they go back to those languages. However, this is why they all believe different things. How can any group of people read from the same book for more than 2,000 years and believe so differently about the exact same verses, words, and passages that they end up fragmenting themselves into more than 40,000 denominational schisms? It's because the methodology is flawed. Well, the method of exegesis that I have developed puts an end to that, because there's no private interpretation, there's no personal subjectivity or opinion involved. It just goes back to the original meaning of the words, and that's what all of my books are about. And when you apply this method, the Bible and other texts begin to open up like a flower, and for the first time ever, you begin to understand the meanings of these things, and the hair on the back of your neck or the hair on your arm stands up, and you think, now I understand. And that's what I do. It's a very intense method of study. It's very, very time consuming. It's taken tens of thousands of hours to dig these things out. But in the process, it's been an extraordinary journey and a tremendous blessing, because I now have answers, and I've been able to teach apprentices. I have a social and learning network at, if I can give the address for people who might be interested.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Innercircle.us. It's innercircle.us, and I teach students from all around the world, and one-on-one every month. And you can find any of these books at paxionpublishing.com, too. It's PAXEON publishing.com. So that's what I do, Ira, and I love it, and it's what I do full-time. I'm very blessed to be able to do this.
It's interesting how similar your backstory is to my own, actually. I was raised in a Christian household myself, but it was strange. My mother was raised a Catholic. My dad was raised an atheist. They sent me to a Lutheran school, and we went to a Baptist church. Definitely a diverse upbringing as far as that goes. And then my own pathway, I was being led to go to seminary. I started seeing a lot of things that seemed contradictory. I couldn't put the pieces together very well. You know, I had questions, and then when I asked questions, I was told you're not supposed to ask questions. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if God gave me the ability to ask questions, how can he say don't ask questions? You say lots of things sort of interfered. It was a big pathway. And I finally broke away from it and said, I can't do this anymore. Conscientiously, I can't force myself to become something that I'm not, you know. And it's weird because I again, like you, I went into studying the exact wording of things in the original languages as far back as I could go, trying to learn what each word meant. You know, I looked at a verse and looked at each word and the meaning that they gave. And I discovered some very, extraordinary things. Like, for example, one of the biggest eye openers for me, and I don't know if you know about this one, but one of the biggest eye openers for me was in the passage where the angels are announcing the birth of Christ and saying things like what people think is peace on earth and goodwill to men. Actually doesn't say that in the original language. It says peace on earth to men of goodwill. There's a completely different meaning to that context, you see.
Altogether different, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed. And yet there's so much confusion with people about what does this mean, what's going on here. And so, yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you kind of took that same sort of pathway with yours.
Right. And when you are a sincere truth seeker, there are a lot of people who say they're truth seekers, right? I mean, everybody and their brother says, "Oh, I'm a truth seeker. I've been studying this and that for a long time, and I've read this book and that." But when you're a true truth seeker, you soon become a truth finder, right? The whole
Indeed.
idea of becoming a truth seeker, or being a truth seeker, is that you actually find truth, and not just truth. You can find different scientific data that may be true, or different meanings of words that may be true. But is that truth really effectuating change in your life? That's the whole purpose of it. And when you're sincere, and you go about it with a humble heart, and you simply, open yourself up to the Creator and say, I'm yours. Please show me what you have me to learn, and so I can, learn it and apply it to my life and teach those who are wanting to learn the same. Then you become a truth finder, and your life changes. I mean, it really does. Truth, to me, I explain truth like this. It's medicine. It's medicine primarily for the soul. We have so many people in our world today who are vexed. They're in pain. They're frustrated. They don't know what to do because, like you and like me, they've followed the things that they've been taught. They've gone to school. They've gotten married. They've gotten the mortgage. They've gotten the job. They've had the kids. They're going through all these things, and they just feel terrible. Many of these people are in the church or espouse some kind of religion, and they even follow the doctrines and the tenets of those various religions, yet they feel an emptiness. They feel a hollow place in the very deepest part of their soul, and they can't figure out why. And there are reasons for that. You see, these religious systems have been set up by the powers that be to actually and ironically keep people from knowing the truth. And the first group of people to argue this are, well, there's Muslims and then there's Christians, and they just get upset about this because they say that they know the truth. Well, that's not true. If you did, you wouldn't all be on a separate page. You wouldn't all be believing different things. And that's just not a true statement that they do. But the reason for this is because the builders, the ones who are in control in our society, we call them different names. We can call them the builders. We can call them the Freemasons. We can call them the Illuminati. We can call them different things. They've been around literally since before Eden, contrary to what many people believe. People say, oh, no, the Freemasonry began in the 1700s. That's not true. That shows me that that person who says that is not a sincere truth seeker, because that's what you might read on Wikipedia or something. Right. But if you apply due diligence and you look deeper, you'll find that this group has been around since before Eden. These are the ones who built the great edifices of old, including the pyramids and many other things. They are the builders, and they've built many, many things, okay, some of which we'll talk about tonight too, and that are very, very deep and deeply hidden. But they also built the constructs, the financial constructs, the political constructs, the religious constructs. And, they've simply repackaged them over the centuries and put a new stamp, a new name on them, and they've developed in the process a new cult, such as Christianity. Christianity, by definition, is a cult. It's not a religion. A cult is a system of religious belief, a system of belief that gives reverence to a specific individual. Well, that's what Christianity does. That's the literal translation or literal definition I just told you. Well, that is a cult. And this cult has also been called the Dionysians. It's been called the Mithraism. It's been called many names over the years, over the centuries and the millennia, where there's a savior figure who was born of a virgin, who did miracles, who died on a cross, who rose again, and all these different things. And those people were looking for this individual to come back as a savior and to take them home to the heaven, which they call by different names. Well, Christianity is just the same thing, and I'm not telling people this to hurt people's feelings. I'm not an enemy of Christians. I'm simply an honest person who the Father has called to bring these things to the surface so people can do as the Christ said and know the truth and be free. That's how you do it. You begin in your heart by humbling yourself and being honest and saying, look, I know something is wrong with the religious systems, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, because they're always at war, they're always fighting. Everything that I've learned seems to be contradictory. I've gone to Methodist, Nazarene, Baptist, Brethren Church. Many people can say this, and they all believe different things. So how can this be the right way? Well, Christ said the way to true life is narrow, and few there are who find it. Well, you've got billions of people who say they're Christians. That's a pretty wide path, especially when you consider that they all believe different things.
There's 38,000 denominations just within Christianity alone, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And what I'm going to do tonight, hopefully we'll have time, is I want to get into some of these things that people believe, and I want to clarify them. I want to tell them what they really mean. I want to talk about things that are going on in the heavens right now. I want to talk about DNA. I want to talk about UFOs. I'm going to talk about lots of different things that are all related, but people don't realize that they are. People don't realize that UFOs and what we call aliens and the Great Pyramid and the parables of Jesus and the Ark of the Covenant and different things like this are related to all people, no matter what you believe. You can be an agnostic, an atheist, somebody who's a Muslim, a Jew, Christian, Baha'i faith. It doesn't matter. All of these things are retold over the centuries because they have incredibly powerful significance and meaning to every single person who is willing to embrace the truth that they carry. And I'm going to explain some of these things tonight so people can finally know what these things mean.
It's sort of like with in biblical texts, you read how Christ stated the good news, the gospel. You see Gospels, the 4 that are there currently in the current incarnation of the Bible. These 4 things, right. They're the Gospels, and the gospel simply means nothing more than good news. And the good news, according to the texts, is the kingdom of God is within you. It's within everybody. It's there. No ifs, ands, or buts. And yet people attach all these other extraneous things to it, saying, well, no, it's this and this and this. And they've literally destroyed the good news in the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, there's so many things like this that this is one hypocritical thing within Christianity. They will say all day long, when you come to them with a literal meaning of something, but yet that meaning is different than what they've been taught or what they think it believes or means, they will say, oh, well, you're wrong because that's your personal interpretation. Well, that's ridiculous because they've come to the same conclusions because they have interpreted things themselves. They have literally used the system of hermeneutics, and to get to their interpretation. And all pastors use it. That's what they're taught in seminary, the system of hermeneutics. But yet all pastors, well, not all of them, but vast majority believe different things.
Exactly.
So that's a glaring example of how it is a bad system to use to discern or to interpret things. See, and this is one of the problems is people have completely convoluted the definition of interpret. Okay, the idea of interpreting something does not involve subjectivity, does not involve opinion at all. If you speak Spanish and someone else speaks English, but they don't speak Spanish, and I speak both, and you want to convey a message to them, I will translate it for you. I will be the interpreter. Now, if you say a word like cerra la puerta, meaning close the door, I'm not going to say anything but to the other person but close the door. I'm not going to input my own opinion, input my own subjective idea of what you really mean or what I think you mean. Interpreting simply is basically it's a science, is what it really is. It's an etymological science, and you just simply tell what it means. But in Christianity, we have I was just talking with someone about this today, about all the versions we have of the Bible. You got the NIV, the NAS, the King James Version, the New King James Version, the English version, on and on and on and on. There's scores of different versions. But when we say the word version, we're really saying interpretation.
Exactly.
Right? The truth, despite what the New Agers want everybody to think, that you can have your truth, I can have my truth, and we can agree to disagree, and which is basically what Christianity has done. The truth is singular. There is a truth. If blue is blue, then blue is blue, right? If a line is straight, then it's straight. It's not. I think it's straight. What do you think? It's either straight or it's not straight.
Right.
And the fact that we have embraced this subjectivity, this in inputting our own opinions on a wide scale, applying subjectivity to everything in our society, has led to what we call moral decay. But it's led to the decay of our society. There's a word, it's not coming to mind right now, but moral relativism. That's what it is, moral relativism. It's led to the decay of our society, because what's right to one person might not be right to another. What's wrong to one person might not be wrong to another. And so we have this societal decay that's happening all around us. And while Christians are saying, yes, people need to come to Christianity and know Christ, they're the culprits. Because it begins with that system and other systems like it.
Yeah.
They are saying you need to be on the same page with us, yet they're not on the same page even within their own churches. And there's not a single person that can actually be honest and deny that. So what do we do? What does this mean? Our financial system is decaying. Our educational system is ridiculous. Our morality on a wide scale is fraying. So what do we do? Well, we need a standard. We need a standard to embrace, to say, okay, this is a standard. And that's what I provide with this exegesis that I do into the cuneiform, because there is a standard. See, what's happened is the true standard, you can say the true word, or you can say the true law,